Brilliant. Thank you for telling me about no sound. Hopefully you can hear me now. Can you hear me now, folks? Can you hear me now? All of that talk for nothing. All of that yapping for nothing. Wow. Okay. If I have to start this show over, I will. If we don't have audio yet, I think we have it back. I'm not quite sure what happened there. I had to update a piece of equipment here earlier. But I think we're back. I think you guys can hear me. So let me start this whole darn thing over. So let's start this whole thing over. Guys, welcome to Bucs Report. Thank you to Bucs Report for having us on their platform. This is Bucs Live. I'm your host, Rick Hughes. Now you can hear me. I'm not the brightest bulb sometimes. Sorry. I had to update some equipment and do some things this afternoon. And apparently, sorry, it got muted. We are waiting for JC Allen. Normally, it's myself and the dazzling David Whitescarver. He is not here this evening. He's busy pretending he's working. JC Allen from Pewter Report will be stopping by. Now, for those who don't know him, JC Allen, this guy is brilliant. I mean, when I say, look, let me just say this. I'm not going to do a lot of talking when he's here because, well, the guy's so much smarter than me when it comes to this. He's connected. He's wired in. He knows. He's one of those guys, when you hear the press conference after the game and you hear Tom Brady answering questions or whatever, he's one of the guys asking the questions. He is with Pewter Report, and I'm very, very excited to have JC Allen here with us. I've known JC. We go back a couple of years, back to the Bucs Report days, and what a good guy. He should be calling in at some point here shortly. I'm looking forward to hearing from him. But, okay, all the news that's breaking, all the news that's fit to print. Guys, you've got Todd Monken finished interviewing today. I know. Dritz 924 is saying he's waiting on the new OC alert. Still nothing. Yeah, listen, man, it could come tomorrow. It could come the next day. It may not come for a week. Relax. Whether it's him, look, I am supremely confident that they have a plan and they're talking to these coordinators about what plans they have. And we'll be able to navigate through this. We'll get through this mess. And we'll have a coordinator. We will have a quarterback, whether it's Tom Brady or not. We will have a quarterback. Guys, I've heard, I don't know if you could hear this part earlier. I've heard the rumors. Tom Brady's going to San Francisco, Detroit. I've heard Washington. I've heard Tennessee. I've heard Tampa. I've heard Miami. I've heard the Raiders. Guys, I've heard New Orleans. Every day there's going to be a new rumor. Every day there will be a new rumor. Every day you're going to hear something new, and you're just going to have to sit tight until you actually get some real news. Listen, people are going to say whatever they can to get eyeballs. That's how this works, okay? That's how you're going to get breaking news that's not breaking news, okay? You're going to get info. You're going to get somebody on one talking head on some show in some place is going to say, I think Tom Brady's going to, I don't care, fill in the blank, the Panthers. Okay. And then what happens? 12 other articles say, rumor is Brady's going to the Panthers. Why? Because one guy said it. Now everybody else is just referencing the one guy who said it. And really, that guy didn't know what he was talking about in the first place. Now you have 13 sources backing up the fact that Brady's going to this one particular place. You have to be very careful who you listen to. You only want to listen to people like, I don't know, Ian Rappaport, Greg Auman, Rick Stroud, and our guest who will be here shortly, JC Allen. Those are the kinds of guys that when they say something, you can listen to it and take it, as something to pay attention to. But when some guy on some show in the morning on some network says, well, guys, I think Brady may go to, and he just fill in the blank, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I mean, Gronk said he thinks he'll pick Tampa over the Raiders. everybody goes, well, Gronk and him are buddies. And then you hear Julian Edelman says, I think he's going to Miami. Well, Edelman is also supposed to know Brady pretty darn well. And they're saying different things. The bottom line is this, folks, none of us know. None of us know. The coaching carousel has effects on things. Sean Payton is going to Denver. What that means is Brady is not going where Sean Payton's going. We've been waiting for that news, but Denver's wrapped up, tied up, stuck in the mud with Russell Wilson. There's nothing that can happen there. So you're not going to have that quarterback. You're not going to have Brady teaming up with Sean Payton. That we can put that to rest. And let me say this. I think Denver, I don't know. I know Dave, Dazzling Dave, who's not here to defend himself, so I can give him a hard time. Dazzling Dave thinks Denver's going to suck. He got it right this year, to his credit. Everybody was saying Denver's going to be great this year with Russell Wilson, and Dave was like, I think they're going to be terrible. And I'll be doggone if Dave wasn't right. Now he's doubling down on it and thinks it's going to be a disaster with Peyton there also. I don't know if Peyton did well with Teddy Bridgewater. Sean Payton did well with, for crying out loud, Taysom Hill at quarterback. Jameis even looked a lot better than he did in Tampa with Sean Payton as his coach. I think he'll be able to do something. I think Sean Payton's a smart guy, knows what he's doing, made the right call. I don't like him, by the way, but I think that's the case. Anyway, what can you say? I have some thoughts and my predictions on what's going to happen regarding Brady, and we'll get to that. Dritz also says, well, first of all, let's bring him in. I warned y'all he was coming. I told y'all I'm excited to have him here from Pewter Report. On the phone with us, we have JC Allen. Joshua, how you doing, my friend? Oh, Joshua. There we go. How you doing, buddy?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
I said, good, man. Good. How's everything going over there? Happy
going
to be
great.
Here.
Yeah. You too. It's almost, well, we'll have the new league year at some point coming up here, won't we?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right on March 13th or March 15th.
Yeah.
I think when the tampering period starts. And I think they can start signing deals on the 15th.
Yeah. So you're the guy when it comes to, let me say this, guys. When it comes to the draft, there's nobody I listen to more than Josh, and I'm including the big guys. I'm including the Todd. I'm including all the big guys. I listen to Josh, to JC Allen. You can follow him, by the way. Then it's on the screen there at JC Allen NFL on Twitter. JC, talk to me about Sean Payton's going to Denver. Can we put that now to rest about Brady Payton together?
Yeah, I think that's just one of those things where Brady said he's like to play with a lot of players. Odell Beckham Jr. got all that buzz because Brady said that he'd like to play with Odell at some point. So like, he said it in the past. Let's maybe it'll come to fruition. Players that Brady would have liked to play with, or have coached him, but it was never I go where Payton goes, or a package.
Well, how do they deal with? How do the Bucs deal with hiring a coordinator at this point? I mean, what a mess. You don't know who your quarterback is. He may not be able to get the quarterback he wants. What a weird situation.
Right, yeah, and a lot of this is there's certainly going to be a lot of questions about, okay, with Brady back, great. If Brady's not back, then what's your pivot plan? And I'm sure they're kind of loosely going over what their options are, what they perceive they'll do. They're not going to give anything away, but they'll talk about that and say, we got a plan for that. This is, potential plan A, B, and C, etc. And worst case scenario, we're drafting a quarterback next year or the year after. We have a terrible record. with this offensive, with the personnel they have. I mean, that's a big drawing point too.
Yeah.
Yes, you don't have a quarterback, biggest question in the NFL, but you have a damn good offense around it. With a few tweaks here and there.
Yeah.
You're returning an offense that can score, as we've seen. Upwards of 30 points in the team. They have the talent. They need to add to it a little bit, but not much tweaking as will be to the defensive side of all the free agents.
What happened last year? Just what happened?
It wasn't so much what happened last year. It's what's happened since Bruce Arians and Byron Leftwich got here, and it really reared its ugly face last season. And really kind of trickled into this year, especially without the talent. This is an offense that relies on their best players just outmatching the other best players, best on best. Our guys are going to beat your guys. There's not going to be much scheme involved into it. There's not going to be much, creativity behind it. That's what this offense is. And for the last, 2, even 3 years for that matter, with a little bit more of a mobile quarterback, the last 2 years, those deficiencies have been covered up by, all-pro offensive linemen who weren't injured or who didn't retire. Wide receivers as Antonio Brown and tight end like Rob Gronkowski. The talent was there. You couldn't double. You couldn't bracket these guys and make someone else beat you because the other guys could beat you, quite frankly.
Right.
You didn't have that. There was, Chris Godwin didn't really start to become Chris Godwin until the midway point of the season.
Right.
Mike Evans was dealing with injuries throughout the year and obviously – nagging injuries. Obviously missed the game with suspension and just couldn't find a rhythm with Brady, Russell Gage, Julio Jones. Pick a week. You're probably right that they were injured that week. So there was nobody that really stepped up as much as they tried. Kate Otten, Rashad White contributions were admirable as rookies, but really nobody stepped up to say, okay, well, let's bracket Mike and let's, play tough coverage on Chris and who else is gonna beat us? Nobody. And with that happening, the offense was exposed. The offense grew stale, and as time went on, the lack of creativity, everything was just emphasized by the fact that they couldn't score points. These were concerns that I questioned last year when I spoke to Byron, and really again since this offense came here, it was covered up. I asked them last year. Do you feel like continuously running on first down is predictable and kind of tipping your hat to what defense is doing? Call it a fantasy football question. Ask them if, there's a concentrated effort to scheme guys open week in and week out, depending on their matchups. We've been doing that all year. This was last year. These things were relevant last year as well.
Why the snarkiness from Byron? Why the snarkiness from Byron? I couldn't figure that out. It started from the beginning of the year.
I can't speak to why the man does what he does, but it certainly comes off as snarky and arrogant, and I'm better than me. I'm sure that's not what his real feelings are, but I mean, again, you're not doing your job. The offense isn't scoring points. You're losing games because of it, that the defense is keeping you in. The reason you're winning is because late game heroics. Your ass is on the line potentially, and that there's people are calling for your job. The fans are calling for your job. All those things, whatever. I have to do this weekly. I'm going to do it.
Didn't they say, like, in all the articles I've read about all of this, all the drama, they said that going back to training camp, there were problems between Bowles and Leftwich. And that, I guess Bowles didn't like some of the way Leftwich was running the offense, etc. How do you go from basically being offered a head coach position in Jacksonville to being out of favor before the season starts? How does that happen that fast?
Yeah, he should have taken that Jacksonville job, to be honest.
No joke.
But, like I said, Brady has consistently thrown the ball. They wanted to get more balanced. They wanted to run the ball more. Just talking to offensive linemen on the team. I think Coach Harold Goodwin had a quote with, I think, Rick Stroud with the Tampa Bay Times. Is that, he doesn't call the plays. They practice them. They have them in the playbook, but he doesn't call the plays on certain runs. He'd love to run the ball more. Certain offensive linemen that I spoke to They said that, every week they go over which plays they want to run, as far as the running game after studying tape, which they think will be effective, which will be ineffective. And it was just kind of never utilized or utilized late in the game. So, there was a big rift between the coaches. It started to trickle in with the players. They still kept that unity mindset, but at the same time, you're only human,
Right.
So it was just something that, with all those deficiencies the Bucs were facing,
Right.
Byron never really had a chance. And even if Ryan Jensen was healthy, I still don't know how much more effective this offense would be.
Yeah,
And
it's
maybe
not like Hainsey
great.
didn't do a good job. I mean, Hainsey came in and did, yeah.
He did. I mean, he wasn't Ryan Jensen. That
Right.
nastiness, that setting, all that stuff is missing from Hainsey's game. He's a good technical center, but he's not going to bring you those intangibles, and those certainly help. Those certainly get your guys riled up. It gives your quarterback confidence. That you've got your Pro Bowl center, next to a rookie left guard or a first-year player or a second-year player. So it's those things are added benefit, but I think it's less about that and more about teams just figured out how to beat the Bucs early. I mean, week 8 when the Baltimore Ravens came to town, and that video was damning. After they're running the same plays, just lined up out of different formations.
Right.
And it was shown again later in the season, and then it's just one of those things where the video comes out, Tom Brady trying to pep the guys up, and Donovan Smith's looking off the la la land, and the rest of the guys aren't.
Right.
It's just those things where I don't know, even with Jensen, if Byron overcomes the situation about lack of creativity, predictability, and not changing his ways. And it's not all Byron's fault he didn't change and was more creative. Yes, of course, it falls majority on him, and he should be studying different coaching styles, and he should be looking at different things and trying to find ways to implement them but he's from one system. He's got one system under his Arians. He doesn't have anything to go off of. He doesn't have past experiences to go off of as an offensive corner. He doesn't have these, and that's some other coaches are in the same boat that have never had those experiences and they excel at the position. I don't. Well, that's something that Aaron would have to answer, but at the same time, it's one of those things where that's where if you're looking, that's where you need to improve. Scheming guys open, being a little more creative, and you consistently don't do it and consistently fall back on the same things that are unsuccessful this season. That's just insanity.
Well, now I've been saying since early in the season, probably preseason of this year, that Brady and this. Now I know I've been a big Brady guy, but this year I was saying all along, look, part of the reason the running game is not working is when you have a quarterback who won't hold the ball longer than 2 seconds, you just stack the box. I mean, receivers can't run routes. The route can't develop in less than 2 seconds. If you stack the box, there's nowhere to run. There's no there. And it felt like they kept doing the same thing over and over again, no matter what. And
yep. 12 personnel on the field, O'Keefe coming in at the dead giveaway that it's a running play. It's the same thing. Not utilizing play action. They're one of the best in the league. Dismissing EPA when you're passing your top 6 passing team. I mean, you finished second in passing in the league. You were efficient when you were passing. You were just passing at the wrong times.
Right.
Outside of neutral situations that would put you in these third and long holes.
Right.
Second and long. Like that you couldn't dig your way out of because offense knew it was coming because you ran for 3 yards on first down.
Well, now how do you moving forward? I have been saying that my guess, and I have no idea what I'm talking about. My guess is that 50%, this has been my since the season ended, 50% Brady comes back to the Bucs. 30% he retires, 20% he goes somewhere else. How far off am I?
I think you're pretty close. I'm at 60-40 he retires right now.
Okay.
With no other option besides Tampa.
Okay.
I just don't think realistically any of it works.
Okay,
There's no team that really jumps out at you other than San Francisco as a team that could utilize his services and for him to potentially win a ring next year. I think the Raiders are far off. I think the Titans are far off. It's not going to Miami. I don't like the fit with the Jets either. You know,
he's not
obviously
going north. I don't think he's going north or west. I just don't see
he's
it.
not. And San Francisco, like I said, the only plausible scenario, it's just too far from his kids.
Yeah,
It's a 6-hour private trip to Miami.
Yeah.
You know, he's 40 kids right now, and he's 2.5 hours from Jack up in New York. You know, I just don't see him. I mean, you could fly your kids in for the weekend. You could fly your kids in for a day if you wanted to, you know?
Yeah.
Our kids pick you up at 7 o'clock. You'll get here at 8. It's going to drop you off at 7 o'clock. You get home at 8. Like, that's a day trip.
Right.
You know?
No, that's
like,
kind of what my thinking has been. So I'm glad. Well, you think he's going to retire, correct?
I think he's at this point leaning towards retirement.
Okay.
I mean, I don't have inside sources or anything like that. I do feel fairly confident from what I've heard from people who are close that it's most likely the Bucs or retirement.
Yeah.
And whether that means retirement straight to Fox, I don't know. I don't think that's something that at this point is something he'd jump right into. I think there's other projects that he wants to focus on a little bit. I think there's family that he wants to focus on a little bit more. So I think maybe a season. Plus, Greg Olsen really has been killing it. That gives him a chance to continue to get better and maybe get a job somewhere else or maybe move up the ranks or something like that. Right. Not that I think he'd just not do it because of Greg Olsen, but I think Fox wouldn't mind, you know, if Brady took a gap year or whatever.
Right.
Just because of the praise they're getting for Greg. They were like, well, crap, we got to stick with Greg for another year. He's at it all. I think they'd be like, all right, great, we get Greg for another year.
Right.
You know, we'll assess the Brady situation next year. If he wants. At the time, you're an ambassador for us. We want you to go shake hands and kiss some babies at some, you know, business meetings and whatnot. We'll fly you out there, fly you back, same day, you know, that type of shit. Or stuff. Sorry. Hit me with the buzzer. I got one more.
I'm not quick enough. I wasn't quick enough.
But yeah, I think that's the deal right now. But you know, I would never put the competitive juices behind him. If he plays for the Bucs, I will not be shocked. If he plays for another team, I will be shocked.
Yeah, I honestly, I get the feeling there's nowhere that feels right to me for him to go to. But having said that, I didn't think he'd come to Tampa. But you know, who knows? Yeah,
actually today is the year 2 year, 3 year, whatever it's been memories on Facebook. It was me today writing a rant about how Tom Brady on my Facebook page could come to Tampa out of all places, and I was blocked. I was blessed. Yeah, right. He's staying in New England. He's going to the Raiders. He's going to the Titans. Blah blah blah. Right. Everyone's like, yeah. You know, how do I mute somebody or how do I, you know, it's crazy stuff. So that victory lap, you know, 2 months later in March when he signed here, I was like, what was that?
Yeah. Do you think we're going to have to wait until March?
Yeah. I would say late February, the earliest.
Okay.
I mean, he doesn't have to rush really too much. The moves that the team has to make, they have to make some of these moves anyways, as far as restructures, pensions, cuts, or whatever.
Okay.
He left them the day before free agency. I think he does it before then. So like late February, beginning of March, I think. Is the right time.
That makes sense. Now let me ask you this. Todd from Winter Park would kill me if I don't ask you this. If he comes back, is Gronk coming back?
I would believe so. I would believe so. I believe Gronk would come back and play with Tom one more year.
Okay, well, there you go, Todd.
It sets you to go up into the Hall of Fame together, which was a huge point that I leaned on this past season. Obviously, that didn't come to fruition. Almost came to fruition, but you know, the whole practice squad for a couple of weeks, whatever. I don't know what fell apart there. They definitely could have used him.
So,
but he did say he was open to coming back next year, you know, if Tom's back. I could also see a scenario which Gronk goes to Buffalo, to be honest.
Right.
You know, one of those, I think Gronk is more susceptible to going somewhere else, and I think that only one somewhere else would be Buffalo.
That's only if Brady retires.
Childhood fantasy. If Brady comes back, you know, I think Brady's in Gronk's enough But I think, if he's going to, I would say probably 75-25. I know Gronk has openly spoken about how awesome it'd be to play for the Bills, the team he rooted for growing up in Buffalo.
Yeah.
So if Brady retires and Gronk wants to come back, I doubt Bills are the only other option, I really think.
Okay. Now, one more thing I want to ask you, that this is more, let's just say this is my thinking. and okay, so I'm not as sold on Brady coming back as maybe some fans are. All right. Because I don't think you can have a pocket passer that's afraid to step up in the pocket. And that's what we had last year. Having said that, he's Tom freaking Brady, and I'm all about get respect the guy. If he wants to come back, yeah, you sign him. I mean, duh. But I'm concerned, and I don't want to have to go through this every offseason. And my thought process is there any chance the Buccaneers would say to him, let's sign a 2-year deal? And, maybe this is a 2-year plan. Maybe we can't solve it all in 1 year, but let's have a goal here, 2 years.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe for cap purposes, but I don't think they would.
Okay.
I think he just wants to go year to year at this point.
Okay.
I don't think he wants to commit for 2 years to something. Although the 2-year mark would line up with the expiration of a bunch of contracts on the team. Chris Godwin, Mike Evans probably gets another year. Leonard Fournette, Ryan Jensen, Carlton Davis, these guys that they just re-up to 3-year deals. So, that would work. But you got to think too, if you look at the situation now, they're going to have to do some hula hoops to kind of get under the cap, which is going to put further dead hit into next year. If he comes back next year, sure, you move it down the road one more.
Right.
You can read some of those caps, but now you got to include the big contracts for Tristan Wirfs, Antoine Winfield Jr., Devin White. Those will go into effect. So it just becomes one of those situations where does Brady want to be handcuffed to a team for 2 years? They're going to have to place the right guard. They're going to have to replace.
Well, you're in a rebuild at that point. I mean, let's be honest. 2 years. 2 years from now, if Brady would sign a 2-year contract,
make it happen, but you just have to. You're kicking a lot of cans down the road to make it happen, and this core is not going to be able to stick together. They're going to be
2 years from now. I don't see it happening anyway. I think you're going to have a rebuild in a couple of years anyway. So, I mean, certainly Mike Evans only has limited amount of time left.
Yeah,
so
that's the thing. I don't know. Mike Evans is a competitor, but he's won a Super Bowl. He's made, NFL history. How long does he want to play? Does he want to play until he's, 38, or does he want to hang it up in 3 years, 4 years,
Yeah.
Hit that,
Yeah. There were a couple of, you're the expert on this, and make no doubt, I understand that. Having said that, when I hear Brady talk, and somebody here made a comment about listening to his podcast, everything, when you hear Brady talking about retiring, he kind of is alluding to it in the future. It's not really like he's there now. And as you've heard, friends and everybody are saying they think he's going to play again. I mean, I'm honestly, I'm a little concerned if he comes back, but I mean, only in the sense that I think it's just dragging out the inevitable, and I don't feel like it meant. Listen, I have a hard time with this.
It's dragging out the inevitable, Rick, but this team still has a window.
After this year, going into next year with the cap numbers there.
This upcoming season, I think they're still in that window.
Okay.
I still think they're in a window where they could potentially win a Super Bowl. There's going to be some big questions in San Francisco regarding the quarterback position.
Right.
Yeah, the Eagles are still going to be there. They're going to be a dangerous team, but they do have some aging guys, especially if they win the Super Bowl. Kelsey might walk away. Lane Johnson might walk away. They could have some big holes on the offensive line they have to fill. Derek Barnett could walk away. He's already kind of hinted at that. So there's some holes on that team that they're going to have to fill that they might not. Plus, the Super Bowl hangover can be real. I mean, look at the Rams. It affected the Bengals in the first half of the season. So, you add into those aspects. I just think that, in a weak NFC South division that appears that it's going to remain weak.
Right.
What good trade for Derek Carr, and does that put them over the edge? A team like the Saints, does that give them a strong roster with an opportunity to compete? Yeah, that it looks pretty strong on paper there. They're gonna have to make some serious decisions on their side as well as $57 million over the cap.
Right.
So can they afford him at this point, because they would have to take on his salary in full, which is about $35 million. So they can't even afford him. So, maybe the Panthers do it. Does that put them over the edge? I don't necessarily think so. They have a good upcoming defense. So, even if you say the Falcons too, because they have the cap room, they can do it. They have draft picks. Could they potentially make a move for Carr?
Right.
And would that put them? I don't think so. Again,
they don't have the other players around him, though, on offense. Right. They just don't.
Exactly. And especially the line. So, and that's been Carr's biggest thing. With a bad line, he's a bad quarterback. With a good line, he's a good quarterback. So you have to have a good line too. So, all those things. I just think that they can win the division again with Brady back.
Yeah.
With the team they have, added tweaks, and get a home game, and that's all you really need. If you have a competent offensive coordinator to give you a home game.
And but he's got to come back with a different. He was not the same Brady this year.
He was not, and I will give you credit. You pointed out early in preseason that he looks lighter, thinner. Yeah. Now we kind of realize why. The stress of, Giselle dropping the end of their relationship, taking that time off.
So can I tell you something, though, Josh?
Dealing with Byron Leftwich, and trying to figure that out. All those things added to stress throughout the season, and he was noticeably.
Joshua, I've watched the NFL for a long time, and I've never heard any player, quarterback or otherwise, where anybody gets the excuse that he had a bad year because he got divorced. I've never heard.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that's an excuse. I'm saying that's part of the whole problem. That's part of the stress, the mental stress, the anguish.
I want the Brady
being able to go home and see your kids every day after practice.
Yeah.
Have dinner, etc. Being a part of their lives as much as football is the main focus for him during the season. To be able to see your kids every single day, to having to only being able to see them once every weekend because you have a game or however the schedule was worked out, that's tough, and that weighs on you mentally. And then,
but it's happened with how many other players?
Well, I'm just saying that's one thing that led to it. Incompetency at offensive coordinator, and guys not executing at a high level. That was another part of it, too.
Right.
And literally being stressed for most of the game with rushes coming after you all game. That's another thing. So I mean, not to make excuses. He had some bad plays. He had a down year.
Yeah.
It wasn't a Brady-esque year. They finished with a losing record. And I think he owns a big part of that, and part of those are the reasons why.
See, I want the Brady back that we got in year one with Tampa, where extra practices, where he was just hell bent on winning, not I'm hell bent on not getting hit. I mean,
no. See, I don't think that's. I think he's still hell bent on winning.
Is he?
I just think yeah, definitely. The only reason he's playing this game, he's not playing it for the money. He's not playing it for the records, for the accolades. He's playing because he loves it, because he wants to win.
Sure, he's addicted to playing.
I don't think there's many competitors in the NFL with Brady's tenacity. I think that's part of the problem. I think that's why I don't want Derek Carr anywhere near this franchise, is because reportedly he broke down when Josh McDaniels made publicly scrutinized him in front of the team on numerous occasions.
Okay,
and that's how it started to sour. I want a guy who wants that criticism. I want a guy who's still got those competitive juices going. And I think that's Tom Brady. I just think that everything around him, his play, the offensive, play calls, the sequencing, the everything, just kind of led to a really bad year for him. And I don't think it's indicative of what his performance would be next year with a new coordinator. There was some tweaks to the offense.
Now, do you think who they hire makes that much of a difference? Are any of these guys like, oh yeah, if they hire this guy, Brady's not coming back? I mean, I like saying Jim Bob Cooter just because I like saying Cooter, you know. It's just
I don't think that makes. I think Brady will be intrigued by who the offensive coordinator is. I don't think that's like an end all be all decision.
Right.
And I know it's an end all be all decision for the Bucs. You know, they're not just thinking Brady. If Rick Bowles is thinking that short sighted, then he's only got 1 year left anyways. So why would anyone want to be?
What kind of communication do you think Brady has with the Buccaneers right now? Do you think they have any clue? Do you think that he's literally just leaving them completely in the dark, and they're just?
No, I mean, we're only talking 2 weeks after they lost.
Yeah.
You know, it's been like a month or anything. I think they're just, you know, hey Tom, give us a call. You know, if you want to talk, if you're ready, let us know. You know, give us a ring, let us know. And
so there's no communication going on otherwise.
Right now, I would probably think they're giving Tom his space. The last thing you want to do is bug the guy over and over.
Oh, I don't know that they're bugging Tom, but do you think Tom is?
I think they probably had an exit meeting. Hey, I'm going to take a couple weeks to think about this, you know, a month or so.
Right.
And then I'll get. I don't want to make a rash decision like I did last year and then regret it. I'm not going to do the Brett Favre retire. I'm not trying to make that a storyline every year. You know, let me take the necessarily time. Let me decompress, get away from football, stop thinking about football. That's what I said probably after the Super Bowl and everything.
Yeah. No, I understand that. Yeah, and I don't expect we're going to hear anything in the next week or two. I said end of February.
No, I think I think the Super Bowl is when he'll, you know, kind of communicate back with the Bucs and let them know, hey, you know, I'm leaning this way or that way.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll let you guys know by the end of the month, first thing of next month, you know, before free agency. So they have plenty of time. So it's not a mad dash at the edge of tampering period to be like, hey, guess what?
Right. Right. That's what that's like what I guess I was hoping that Brady would have the courtesy to at least not come the day before free agency and say, yeah, never mind, I'm not coming back or whatever. Now I'm sure they're figuring out their plans either way, but there's a lot of dominoes that if Brady comes back, there's a lot of things that take place in one direction. If he doesn't come back, there's a lot of things that happen in a different direction. And decisions have to be made. Joshua, I want to thank you so much for coming on and making this show smart. You are welcome here anytime. You have no idea how much I appreciate you being here.
Absolutely, man. Anytime. Just let me know.
Okay, excellent. Why don't I let you escape?
We'll dive into some free agency talk soon, and we'll get after it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll have Dazzling Dave back on with me then, and we'll
that mustache. Can't wait.
All right, brother.
All right.
Have a great night, Joshua. Tell them where to find you. Although I have your Twitter on the screen, tell them where to find you.
Yeah, you can find me at JC Allen NFL on Twitter. You can follow us at Pewter Report on Twitter. PewterReport.com has all of our written work, and check out our YouTube page, Pewter Report TV on YouTube for all of our podcasts. We're at the Senior Bowl this week. I unfortunately could not attend, but we have pretty much our whole team there, and they're breaking down what they see every day. Had a really good podcast on tonight to kind of give you guys an update of what they're looking at, what they're seeing from potential prospects that could be potential Bucs players. So definitely check
where do we hear that again? Where do we hear that podcast?
Pewter Report TV on YouTube.
Excellent.
Or all of your streaming things, you know.
Excellent.
So we're on all the streaming services as well.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
You have a great night, and we'll talk soon.
You too.
All right. That is Joshua Cole Allen, who brings it amazingly every single time he's around. He's just such a wealth of information and knowledge, and And yeah, it's great having him around. So yeah, I want to say hey to Christopher Cole for being here as well. He says, not to mention Brady was playing with an injured shoulder last year. Yeah, Brady's 45. Something's going to be hurting every year, Christopher. He won the Super Bowl with a messed up knee. Every year, something's going to be hurting. Brady's earned a certain amount of respect to where I could say, okay, let's give him excuses. Okay, his knee was hurting. Okay, he got divorced. I hear all of that. But none of that kept him from stepping up in the pocket when he needed to. He played scared football. That it's undeniable. Now, that doesn't mean he's going to do it next year. I want to see the old Brady back. I want to see him back on his game, and hopefully that's what we will see. If any of you want to call, you can call. You can join the show at 770-633-0001. I've got that number up there, 770-633-0001. You can join the show if you would like to. But guys, there's so many rumors that are flying around. There's so many rumors, and I don't want you guys getting all caught up in every time there's a rumor. Okay. I don't want you buying into every time somebody says Brady might go here, might go there, might retire, might come back, might be with the Bucs, might not. Well, here we go. All right, let's bring in. Let's go ahead and bring someone in here. Somewhat. Well, let's just say the rumor guy. Todd, how are you doing, Todd from Winter Park?
I'm doing good, Rick. That was a great conversation with Josh.
Yeah.
I loved it. A lot of good info there that I loved. And, of course, it got me upbeat again.
Yeah, well, it's too easy to get dragged down every time you hear a rumor that he's going somewhere else or doing something else or whatever. It amazes me how like the Buccaneer fan base, it's amazing. Before Brady, the Buccaneer fan base would have killed for a winner. And then once Brady got here, all they did was continue to complain like they did previously about anything and everything other than, I mean, I literally saw 5 minutes after the Super Bowl victory, somebody said that Jameis would have scored more points in the Super Bowl than Brady did.
Oh my God.
And my God. The point is we're finding ways to be unhappy. And listen, it's not even the Super Bowl yet. This season, the football part of this season hasn't even ended yet. It's got 2 more weeks. All right. If there's 2 more weeks of football, no, we haven't heard anything. What if Brady was still playing? He wouldn't have made his decision and said anything yet. So we don't have the info yet. Give him to the end of February. That's when I think that's really when I think we're going to find out.
I think that's realistic. What you said, what Josh said, that's what I was kind of thinking too. If he does it at the end of February, first week of March, that's whatever his decision is. That still gives the organization time to make some decisions, to get a plan together. And, if we need to get a quarterback, that we can look at free agency or look at the draft. And
well, Todd, I have a breaking rumor. Christopher Cole said Brady to the XFL.
Wow.
So,
wow.
I mean, why not, right?
We'd have a lot of fans going to XFL games for sure.
Yeah, well, no joke. No joke.
The other thing that Josh mentioned that he said to you was, and I agree with him totally. This team, there's still a lot of good talent on this team on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
And Josh said the window is still open for us to win another Super Bowl if Brady comes back.
I hope that's accurate. That's all I can say. I don't know. I can only tell you, I hope that's accurate. How they're going to kick the can down the road and keep these guys around for longer, and how they're going to navigate through the salary cap. And the thing is this, you have to be ready as a Buccaneers fan. Everybody in the comment section that I'm reading, everybody who, all week long, I get messages from you guys. Everybody has to be ready, because the time's gonna come to pay the pauper. And at that point, guys, ask yourself, are you a Buccaneers fan? Because
since 1976,
you and me too. You and me both, brother. But
I am loyal. I have two teams that I love, and I'm loyal: the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Indiana Hoosiers.
Oh, and the Orlando Magic.
Well, I love the Magic too, but the Indiana Hoosiers.
Okay.
The Indiana Hoosiers is my second love.
Okay.
And that's where I'm from. I'm from Indiana originally, so I grew up watching Indiana basketball with my grandfather when Lou Watson was there, no less, as the head coach.
The thing is, Todd, understand that, okay, we get Brady back. Let's say we get Brady back for a couple years and we kick the can down the road, and in 2 years, we're losing everybody. Okay? We're losing everybody. Every one of your favorite players, they're gone. Okay? Everybody's gone. They're all gone. You're going to end up with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback, and or Josh Johnson or somebody like that. Josh Johnson, he'll why not bookend his career? He's like, he'll be older than Brady. I mean, it's
right.
But I mean, we're gonna end up with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback, and a bunch of Keyshawn Vaughn will be our lead running back, and I mean, it's going to be our top wide receiver is going to be, they'll pull Tyler Johnson out of retirement. I mean, it's going to be a disaster for a number of years. And are you prepared for that? Or are you going to be angry with the staff and angry with the team ownership at that point because they kicked the can down the road? When it comes time to pay, how mad are you going to be at the team? Because right now they're up against it. And if Brady says, no, I'm not coming back, and they end up with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback, or as you and I discussed earlier today, what if they end up with what's his name from
Sam Darnold?
Sam Darnold. You've got to understand that's the price of having Brady these last 3 years, and all the bringing in Lenny and bringing in AB and bringing in all these different players. That's the price.
I understand what you're saying. I'm still going to be a Bucs fan. I was a Bucs fan through all those years.
Yeah.
In the 70s and 80s and 90s, when I thought, and I'd go in and thinking positive every year. Hey, we're gonna be good this year. Then you have a guy like Lehman Bennett as a head coach, a guy like Ray Perkins, who was nothing.
Richard
Williamson. I mean, you had some coaches there that were just not the right fit for our Bucs, and I still rooted. I still watched the preseason games and every game that season. And was I disappointed at the end of the year? Yeah, I was disappointed.
Who's the worst coach? Who's the worst coach in Buccaneer history? You guys can add this in the chat section too. Who is the worst head coach in Buccaneer history? I mean, I've got my choice. I know a lot of people are probably going to say Schiano. I've got my choice for worst coach in the history of the Buccaneers. I want to hear yours.
Worst coach in Buccaneer history. That's actually it's actually kind of tough because I had
they've had some bad ones.
Well, those two or three coaches we just mentioned, Williamson, Lehman Bennett.
I think Ray Perkins. There you go. Ray Perkins. That's my guy.
Ray Perkins was horrible, and the players didn't like him.
He was a horrible human being. Nobody liked him. I mean, seriously, there's not one person who liked him. It was just Ray Perkins was mean spirited. He was just an ugly human. And then, there he was coaching our favorite team, and we had to pretend that, we were okay with it. We had a horrible owner, a racist, horrible, awful
Oh,
owner.
I was mad at Hugh Culverhouse when he would not sign Doug Williams for $500,000.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
No, Dave
Doug
threw a
Williams-
fit. Dave threw a fit.
Doug Williams. I still think Doug Williams maybe would have got us to a Super Bowl,
Could
and
have.
maybe we would have won the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
We had
maybe.
some good players on those teams.
Yeah.
I mean,
Doug Williams really became a great quarterback after he left the Buccaneers. And but yeah, I mean he's he was the best we had, and despite our offense, we still almost made it to the Super Bowl. And those were amazing years. And if Tom Brady doesn't come back, guys,
oh no, we suck again.
oh no, we suck again. Get ready for it. Look, we're gonna have to pay the pauper at some point. And let me tell you something, guys. I'll be here then. I will be a Buccaneers fan when we pay the pauper, when the team falls apart, when the rebuild happens. I'm gonna be here.
Right.
Will you?
right.
Todd, you got any other
well,
questions?
No, sir.
Okay.
Great show. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you coming around and calling, and I look forward to hearing from you. I don't know. I have a work meeting tomorrow for part of the day, so I might not be able to answer everything, but well, I'm sure at some point we'll hear something. You'll give me a shout telling me you heard, I don't know, that Tom Brady's going to Canada. I don't know, but
Yeah, he's going to play in the Canadian
in the
football.
CFL. All right, brother. Thank you, Todd.
All
I
right, brother.
appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, I
Have a
look
great
forward to
night.
hearing from you. Take care.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Rick.
Yep. Bye-bye. All right, guys. I'm going to go ahead and pull the plug on tonight. I think we covered everything pretty much thoroughly. I think we hit it all pretty thoroughly. So, guys, this was a fun night. I look forward to Dazzling David being back next week with me. It's gonna that will help a great deal, having Dave around. And Dave and I together make a pretty good team. The way we fit each other, I like that. Want to thank you guys for being a part of the show, all of you. Dritz 924. Thank you, Christopher Cole. Thank you, Todd, popping in. Todd from my job. I hope you have a wonderful light breakfast tomorrow. Thank you, Todd. And I look forward to seeing all you guys next week, next Tuesday night. Right back here. Same Buck time, same Buck channel. Thanks for being here, guys. As always. The way to end it, the way we always end it, the way we always will end it. Go Bucks. Go Bucks. Go Bucks.